The changes that walk. Before any star was named, before humans drew a line on the ground and called it east, there were the Kethari, the people of perpetual motion. They were not born of soil or sea, but of transition, of the quiet shape that exists between one moment and the next. Their bodies carried the shimmer of cuttlefish skin, patterns blooming across them like ink spilled in water, shifting before anyone had time to think of why. They moved always, not fidgeting, not restless, simply becoming what the space around them needed. A world without direction. The Kethari had no north, no up, no down. When they traveled, they described paths like toward where the warm stone sighs, past the color of memory, into the silence that feels wide. Their language held no straight lines and no fixed points. Even their names were temporary. A sound, a swirl of skin pattern, a motion in the air. To humans, they would appear as walkers, crawlers, coilers, rollers, limbs adjusting like flowing sand, posture bending into whatever shape facilitated travel, comfort, or communication. But none among them ever said, "Rise, stand properly, face me." For the Kethari believed that any request that changed the shape of another being's body was the first seed of domination. Motion was sacred, orientation was free. Beyond addiction, beyond need, on the fourth moon of their wandering age, the Kethari reached what they later called the Stillness War. It wasn't a war as humans know wars. There were no weapons, no armies, no demands. But there was temptation. A crystalline cave system had formed around a mineral void that released soft, narcotic light. Any creature entering it felt a perfect calm, the illusion of completion, the seduction of never moving again. Other species built shrines around the light, worshipped it, curled before it until all their hunger, thirst, and purpose evaporated. The Kethari stepped inside, their bodies slowed, their patterns dulled. For the first time in recorded Kethari memory, motion threatened to stop. But in one ripple of collective instinct, a pulse that traveled through them like tidal muscle, they understood. Addiction is stillness disguised as satisfaction, and stillness is death dressed as comfort. So they moved. They dragged, rolled, crawled, scraped, contorted, refusing the light's invitation. They tore open the cave walls, collapsing the narcotic chambers, leaving only darkness behind. And when all was silent again, they vowed, "Let no desire hold us when we wish to move." With that vow, the Kethari became the first species in the universe to evolve past addiction. They replaced cravings with curiosity, compulsions with choice, and longing with forwardness. Not forward as a direction, but as a state of being. The land responds. Because they no longer clung to fixed perspectives, the environment began to adapt to them as much as they adapted to it. When they crossed volcanic plains, their skin adopted obsidian shine and heat-resistant fractals. The ground beneath softened, cooling into glass pathways. When they entered tundras of singing ice, their bodies refracted light like prisms. The frost hummed harmonics that made travel smoother. In jungles with vines like emerald rivers, their limbs elongated for swinging. The plants rearranged themselves to form motion-welcoming corridors. It was not dominance. It was symbiosis through presence. The Kethari did not conquer environments, they conducted them. The greeting without expectation. When two Kethari crossed paths, they shared no bow, no handshake, no ritual of enforced posture. One might be rolled in a coil of resting limbs. Another might be stretched like a drifting root, half walking, half dragging. Another suspended horizontally, supported by shifting muscles. Their greeting was simply this: pattern to pattern, motion to motion. Whoever you are, as you are, I see you. And there was never a need for more. The age of human contact. Long after their myths had aged into the universe's bones, humans encountered the Kethari for the first time. The human expedition team attempted formal communication. They straightened their backs, they announced directions, they introduced hierarchy, rank, and orientation. They expected reciprocation. The Kethari responded with soft ripples. Why do your bodies freeze? Why do your greetings require discomfort? Why do you place weight on positions instead of presence? The humans struggled to answer. So the Kethari taught them to sit without shame, to move without explanation, to speak without spatial chains, to greet without hierarchy, to exist without addiction to validation. And for a brief, precious generation, the humans who lived among the Kethari learned what it meant to be motion-born, shape-honest, and direction-free. Epilogue: the ones who keep moving. The Kethari still roam worlds where the terrain changes color with weather, where forests breathe, where oceans rise into suspended rivers of vapor. You will not find them standing still. You will not find them oriented to north. You will not find them bound by need, demand, or ritual. But if you ever feel a pull, a soft, curious urge to move for no reason other than the joy of motion, it is said you have felt the echo of the Kethari, the ancient civilization who never stopped becoming.